All right, this is Deanna Marie, and welcome back here to the Clusie. And today we're going to be talking about how some of you guys need to wake up and realize who you actually are in this life and whose child you are. Okay, so let's get started. All right, today's Bible reference is going to be Exodus chapter 15, verse 2. So you guys know how I am. Open up the Bibles, get in the Word, pray, open up the lines of communication, and let Him speak to you what He wants to speak to you about. Okay, so that being said, what do I mean by you guys don't know who you are? I want you to think about Moses and how Moses was being groomed to be the next Pharaoh, and then, he kills somebody and then he runs off and he's hiding basically out in the wilderness, right? He's out there, he's just being a shepherd, not really bothering anybody, doing anything. That's what he thought his life looked like. That's what he thought. He didn't see anything past that. He thought, this is it. I'm older now. I tried to help my people, couldn't do it. I'm just going to sit tight, sit over here, and this is it. That's what he saw himself as, a shepherd, just hanging out. Do you know what God saw him as? God saw him as the man that was going to walk back and face Pharaoh. He was going to give Moses the power to part the seas. He was going to be the man that stood up and said, hey, let my people go time after time again, plague after plague. He was going to lead the people of Israel out of the wilderness into the promised land. He was going to be listening to God, getting the 10 Commandments. He was all of that. That's what God saw. Okay, that's what God saw, and that's what God had planned for him. But in his mind, in that moment, when he's in the wilderness, before he even goes back and faces Pharaoh again, he just thought, this is life. I'm a shepherd. This is it. That's that. That's not who he really actually was. And some of you guys are visualizing yourself, and you think just because you're in this tough spot, this rough moment, this part of time where God's maybe working on something with you, or he's trying to build a relationship with you, or maybe you guys wandered off God's path and you need to wander back on, whatever it is, you are seeing yourself like that, and that's not who God sees you as at all. He sees you, maybe you're single, right? You're single, you don't have anybody, any options, nothing. You're looking at yourself in the picture right now where you're single, you're lonely, and you don't understand why. You know what God sees? God sees you on the other side, married, maybe with kids, happy, having fun, raising children later on, helping out with grandchildren, doing stuff like that. That's what God sees. He sees the full picture. So don't sit here and get in the mindset that you think, oh, God's not going to do anything, or you're sad, and don't fall into that trap of the enemy, because that's what he wants you to think. He wants you to think that about yourself. He wants you to think that there's nobody out there. There's no good women out here. There's no good men out here. He wants you to think that. Because if you think that, if you ever were to stumble across God's blessing, guess what? You're never even going to recognize it, because you're so down and you're so beaten down, and you're in this mindset that God's never going to do it, and there's no person out there for you, or there's no good people out there, and all kinds of other stuff. So he tricks you. He tricks you into not even noticing your blessing if it were even to come across your path. Some of you guys, that has to do with your finances too. Some of you guys are over here and you're like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I've had all of these people, they stole money from me. They did this, they did that. And you're thinking oh my gosh, that's what you see now. That's what you're looking at in the physical realm right now. You know what God sees? Maybe you're the owner of a business. Maybe somebody needs your talent, and you're the only person to fill the job, so you are successful over here. Not only do you have enough for yourself, but you have so much wealth that you're able to bless other people and your family and beyond, because of the amount of blessing that he wants to give you. And he sees you passing money down to your children because you have wisdom that you've learned in this season. That's what he sees. What you see physically right now, that's not the end. Okay? It's not the end of the story. It's not how your story is going to end. It's just a moment in time. It's a moment in time right now. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of the people in the Bible, if you would have asked Abraham, when do you think you're going to have a child? He wouldn't have said, when I was 99 years old. That's what I thought. That is not what he thought. Okay? Moses, when he led the people of Israel out of Egypt, he wasn't like a spring chicken. The guy was 80. Okay, so some of you guys are thinking, oh, I'm too old. It's never going to happen. I have 2 divorces under my belt, or I've been fired from this, and this person lied about me and said, and it's not over. God determines when it happens and how it happens, and it's not over until he says it's over. And if you're breathing right now, if you're listening to me right now on here, it is not over for you. You know why? Because if it's over, you have no purpose on here anymore. You'd be in heaven with him. But the fact that you're not, the fact that you're listening to this, I can tell you right now that whatever you're praying for, whatever you're hoping for, the moment that you're in right now, it's just a moment. It's not over. He determines things. The enemy doesn't. The enemy likes you to think that he can control things and that he has all the same powers of God. He does not. He has to ask God's permission to do whatever he wants to do. Okay? So you need to think about that, and you need to stop listening to the enemy, and you need to stop looking at your picture of your whole life at the moment that you're in right now if you're in a bad spot. Because it's not going to be like that forever. It won't. God doesn't do that. You're just walking through this right now. Look at all the stuff that you're going to have to look forward to on the other side. Because I can promise you that God is good and he wants to do good things for you. Okay? So anyways, like, share, subscribe, and comment as always, and I will see you guys back here next time.